all remember the day, Friday, the 13th of March, 2020, when the whole world froze. Schools were closed, shops were closed, and all activities were canceled. We were confronted with a new virus, COVID-19. My school being closed and activities being canceled meant that I was given a lot of free time. And this was when I downloaded my first 2 social media apps, WhatsApp and Instagram. Everybody around me uses it, I thought, so why shouldn't I? What harm would it do to me anyways? When I first downloaded these apps, I only used them for about a half hour a day, which is pretty reasonable. But as time progressed, my social media usage grew. After a couple of months, school opened and everyone started going on alternate days. During school, I kept feeling these impulses to take my phone out and scroll through my Instagram feed during in-person conversations and even during class. At that point of time, I was using my social media for about 3 to 4 hours a day. Using social media so much really took a toll on my school grades. My parents realized this, but I did not. I thought I was using social media in moderation. My parents made me monitor my time on social media and asked me to reflect on the reason why I kept using it so much. And here I am, talking to you today. My name is Saumyaa Rastogi, and I would like to talk to you about why we become addicted to social media and the consequences of social media addiction. We become addicted to social media because of 2 main reasons. We have a fear of missing out, and social media platforms design features in order to make us addicted. Let me look at these 2 in a little bit more detail. The fear of missing out, also called FOMO, is when we keep checking our social media only to be filled in with the newest trend, post, or video. FOMO is driven by one fundamental need, the need to belong in a community. I feel like most of us have already experienced this, myself included. But did you know that social media companies actually hire a group of experts which design features in order to make us addicted? This might not be as explicit, but social media companies are spending thousands, if not even millions, on artificial intelligence, which monitor what posts we like, who we follow, and how long we look at each post. Based on that, the AI then suggests similar posts in order to keep us addicted. If my whole feed were filled with exactly what I want to see, no wonder I would spend so much time on social media. But not only is my feed filled with exactly what I want to see, but the feed itself is also endless. This is called the infinite scroll. It is the infinite scroll together with AI which makes our social media activity so time-consuming. This can have many consequences. For example, it reduces our attention span. Did you know that a new study shows that our attention span has decreased by nearly 25% in the last 20 years? This is a big problem for students like me in school, as we're not able to concentrate in class. And for adults, it just reduces their general productivity. But there are some features on social media which have social implications, which make the impact much more prominent. One of the most important examples is the like button. Let's take an example. You post a picture of, let's say, your dog on Instagram. Whenever someone likes that picture, the like triggers a release of many chemicals in your brain that make you feel happier. Your brain then reaches to a point where it starts longing for these chemicals, and therefore you start seeking these likes. But that's not all. Increasingly, we have started to attach our self-worth to the number of likes we get. We have used social media as a validation for ourselves, and social media causes us to compare ourselves to what we see on the platform. Let's take the same example. You posted a picture of your dog on Instagram, right? Now let's say your friend also posted a picture of her dog, and yet she got more likes than you did. I feel like this has happened to almost half of the people in this room. Why did I not get as many likes? You might ask yourself. Is my dog not cute enough? Is my post not good enough? You push harder and you spend more time on social media and you spend more time thinking about social media, just trying to seek these likes. As we can see from this example, social media could cause anxiety. Did you know that 32% of teenagers ages 12 to 17 have reported anxiety only because of social media and likes? 32%. That is a large number. But the problem might be that even when they're not on social media, they might still be thinking about it. And this causes phantom vibration syndrome. Even I have experienced this a couple of times. Phantom vibration syndrome may sound like a big, long, scary word, but in reality, it's very simple. Phantom vibration syndrome is basically every time you feel a vibration, which might just be a muscle twitching in reality, you immediately think that it is a notification from a social media platform. You pull out your phones and you start scrolling through your Instagram feed, and before you know it, a half hour has passed like this, in the blink of an eye. Now, based on what I have said, we can divide this into two categories. The first one being tech features that social media companies have created in order to make us addicted. And yet, the second one would be social stigmas surrounding these features, which we as a society have created. Let's think about it for a second. Social media companies inevitably have apps, right? And they would want to keep their users engaged to their application. And honestly, there might not even be anything wrong in that. However, it is important that we as users are aware of these features while using the app. But I would like to address the social stigma surrounding these features. The need for affirmation, the constant validation, the comparison, all of this is something that we as a society have created, and is something that we as a society can solve. I see a great need for us to change our relationship with social media. We need to use it as a tool and not let it use us as a tool. Let me briefly outline the consequences of the overuse of social media. It can negatively affect our relationships. Instead of talking to family and friends, many choose to scroll through their Instagram feed. Social media can also have a negative effect on our physical health. It can cause back pain, neck pain, the dryness of eyes, eye strain, headaches, and even vertigo. But now you might be asking, how do we come out of this trap? How do we initiate this so-called digital detoxification? And don't worry, here I'm not talking about a 6-month venture out into the woods where it's just you being one with nature. But here I'm talking about small steps you can take in your day-to-day life to make sure that you have not, in fact, fallen into the trap. All you need to do is reflect. First, realize that it is a problem. For me, personally, it was when social media took a toll on my school grades, and my parents brought this issue up with me. But if you don't really know what the problem is, what are you even trying to solve, right? Another thing I did is I engaged in a hobby. The reason I turned to social media in the first place was because I had a lot of free time on my hands. And now that I monitor my time on social media, I find myself again with this free time. Well, this time, I direct this time towards a new hobby, and for me, it was dance. But it could be as simple as just going out for a jog or learning how to play the guitar. Another thing I did is I freed my mind. Social media caused so much unnecessary stress that it was important that I just let it all go. And for me, it wasn't through the traditional yoga or meditation, but for me, it was just sitting down with a good book, which helped me release all of the tension and stress that social media gave me. One of the most important things I did is I used to think logically. Now, I monitored my time on social media, which does not mean that I stopped using it completely. And even nowadays, when I find myself seeing a post and even involuntarily start comparing myself to them, I try to ground myself and think, is it real? Or is it only a highlight reel? One of the most important things I did, and oh God, this may sound very old school, is that I embrace face-to-face conversations. And now, don't get me wrong, Skype and Zoom and FaceTime are very helpful for people who live abroad. But when you talk to someone face-to-face, when you have a conversation with them in person, it's just different. The bond you form is different. The most important thing I did is that I controlled and monitored my time on social media. I did it with the help of screen time. I regularly kept checking how much time I spent on social media versus how much time I thought I was spending on social media. And believe me, there was a large difference. I also set up time limits just to make sure I was not getting too carried away with my social media usage. And lastly, I took a break. I put my phone aside and I looked outside and noticed how beautiful the world outside is without wanting to post it on Instagram. And so the next time you open your social media apps, think about what I have said and think about traps. Not only ones that social media platforms have created, which makes us addicted, but traps that we as a society have created, which causes us to spend so much more time on social media. After all, the way we spend our time defines who we are. Thank you.